Today we're reading story number 101 from the Gospel Story Bible by Marty Machowski. Today's story is Take Up Your Cross. It's on page 202 of the Gospel Story Bible, and the story comes from the books of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Those books of the Bible are found in the New Testament, and they're the first three books of the New Testament. All right, here's the picture from today's story. All right, take up your cross. Once, when Jesus was walking with his disciples, he asked them a question. Who do the crowds say that I am? Some people think you are John the Baptist, they answered. Others say you are Elijah or one of the prophets who has come back from the dead. But then Jesus asked them, but who do you say that I am? Peter had the answer right away. You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. When Jesus heard Peter's answer, he said, you are blessed to know that, Peter. No one could have helped you know that except my Father in heaven. But Jesus told the disciples not to tell anyone else who he really was. From then on, Jesus began to tell his disciples what was going to happen to him. Even though he was the Son of God, he was going to die. He would go to Jerusalem, where the religious leaders, the elders, chief priests, and scribes, would turn against him and plan to have him killed. Their plan would succeed, but that would not be the end, Jesus told them. I will come back to life after 3 days. I will rise again from the dead. After hearing that Jesus would die, Peter pulled him aside. Don't say such things, Jesus. This will never happen to you. This time, Jesus did not praise Peter for what he said. Instead, he spoke very strong words against him. You are a stumbling block to me, Peter. You are standing in the way of what God wants me to do. You are not thinking about things the way God does. You are thinking the way people on earth think. By this time, a crowd was forming. Jesus called out to them and said, if anyone wants to follow me, he must take up his cross every day and live for me, not for himself. Whoever loves the world more than me will lose his life, but whoever gives up loving the world for me will be saved. What good is it to have the whole world if you lose your life and never go to heaven to be with God? Jesus warned the people that someday he would come from heaven with his angels, and everyone would be judged according to what they had done. Isn't it interesting that Peter could say something so true and right about Jesus one moment and then say something so terribly wrong the next? God had helped Peter see that Jesus was the Messiah. But Peter probably thought this meant that Jesus would defeat the Romans and rule over the earthly kingdom. Jesus didn't come to do that. He came to give up his life for us and win the battle over sin and death. He took our sin to the cross and died. But Jesus didn't stay dead. He won the greatest victory of all over death, when on the third day he rose from the dead. Okay, let's take another look at the picture from today's story, and the questions below it. The first question is, what is an idol? The next question, why are idols at the foot of the cross in this picture? And what does God want us to do with our idols? Tune into our next video to learn more about God's big story. If you're following along at home in your old story, new devotional, we're on week 23, and on Monday, you can start on day 1.